Algae Crumpler.
if I'm not mistaken.
And
Yeah.
Brian Finneran.
Oh, yes.
You know what's crazy too is Atlanta
TJ Duckett
Falcons.
in there as well. Let's not forget about old Dunvick Duckett.
They also had Crumpler, old Algae baby. Did you say that?
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I was.
No,
I was
you're
zoned out
good.
for a second.
And they also had Crumpler.
They did. I
Wait,
don't think we touched on that
Hayden,
yet,
did
but
you mention
did.
Crumpler?
They did have Algae
Yeah.
Crumpler, yeah.
The old Crumpler. I really know.
Oh, God. Blessed with a championship prosperity, the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
Welcome back to Blursed, your favorite podcast for Atlanta sports, or at least 50 of you or so that like listening to us every week.
Hell yeah.
Please tell your friends and your family that we are here, and we're going to be back every single week. Today is July 20th, 2022. Lads, what are we getting into?
Yeah, what's up?
We've got at least on my side of things, we've got some happier news about in the soccer world.
Hey.
We haven't lost since we last talked.
Didn't win either.
So yeah, that's literally since this podcast has been a thing, it hasn't happened yet. So and that's wrong. We did.
No, we tied.
No, but I thought you said we didn't win either, but we did. We won and we tied since
All
last
right.
week.
Oh, true. You're right. You're right. So that is
on
our
the
first
board.
victory.
Yes,
and
sir.
This is our fourth week of Blurs. So
That's right. We're excited about that. What do you got, Blake?
yeah. So Bleezy here has got. Instead of talking about the Hawks because we're in the lull of the NBA season, there's a couple things we could mention and I will bring up, but we're going to talk Falcons today, actually. And it will also tie into our Blurs of the week. So for anyone who's been a Falcons fan, as long as I know A-Money here and me have been Falcons fans for our entire lives.
Sadly.
I think we would like Hayden to be a Falcons fan, but we don't blame him right now for not hopping on that wagon.
That's
I
true.
Wish
I
him
think
the best.
I think we touched on that last week, but it might be something the listeners would be a little confused on. Is this is an Atlanta Sports Talk podcast, but one of us actually has a team that
It's not even a team. He just roots for a quarterback.
Oh,
Okay,
that's true.
hold on. I fell in love with Aaron Rodgers 11 years ago.
Yeah.
I think my first year of fantasy football, where it was weirdly a 2 QB league, which we haven't done since. But I had A-Rod and Eli Manning, so naturally I won.
Yeah.
Then I was
Shout out,
watching so
Hayden
much.
and I were in the championship that we were the championship matchup that year.
Oh, so you've lost to Hayden too in the championship.
Oh yeah.
Same.
I
I know it
trotted
must
out Matthew Stafford and Sam Bradford that week.
That's right. He hasn't.
Oh boy, Sammy B.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, so I watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers that year, and I just loved his play, and it was a lot of fun, and I, got to learning about him a little bit more, and I liked the guy he was, and then past couple years have been a little rough for the guy, and don't necessarily agree with a lot of the things he does anymore. So I'm off the wagon. So now
You say it's been rough, but he's had 2 MVPs the last. You pointed it out last episode.
More of a
Outside of
personality
football. I
issue.
agree. I agree.
That-
I
that-
agree.
Personality there.
He's obviously still a fantastic quarterback, probably the boat, and I still respect his play. But yeah, just not really on board with a lot of stuff that he says and does anymore. So so I'm taking a step back, and I'm kind of a free agent. So we'll see. Hopefully,
Maybe the Falcons
I'll
win
start
you over
watching more-
this year.
Yeah, I'll start watching
I
some more
doubt it.
Falcons games.
I do want to comment on the Aaron Rodgers note real quick. I feel the same way about Russell Wilson. He was the first quarterback took me to the ship in fantasy football, and I fell in love with him, and I haven't had him since. I can't get him because everyone takes him earlier than I would be willing to.
And then and like A-Rod, his personality's pretty fucking weird. Also,
But he's like a good. He's like a nice. weird.
his is like his is just like that strange kid in the back of the classroom type.
Oh, he's like basically A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez of the NFL.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah.
He's very socially awkward, but won't shut up, kind of.
That's very
and you
true.
just don't know what he's going to say. It's okay. It plays, but it's
Did y'all see that him recording those promos? The Broncos country, let's ride. if y'all haven't seen that, please go watch it. It's so funny.
I gotta look it up after this.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway,
Yeah, so we'll be getting back into the Falcons for the first time in a few weeks, so that's exciting. Even though I'm not necessarily a hardcore fan, I can definitely be critical, and I know what's going on. So
Yes.
I will
Yes.
definitely chime in and give my 2 cents. So yeah, and then I'm gonna be getting into the Braves a little bit in a segment I titled "Brave Shit" because it's been a wild week for me. Between being a little bit under the weather last week and being out of the country for a lot of this week, so I will be riffing with the guys and talking about a few things happening in Braves country. But yeah,
What he's trying to say is we're doing the work for him this week, so y'all just buckle in. Y'all just
buckle
up,
folks.
this is all
Yeah.
improv, so hopefully it's not just bullshit. So, but yeah, you guys doing all right? Anything else you want to bring up before we get into it?
I think I'm all right.
Big news right before the podcast or before recording this was Kyle Korver's back with the Hawks in a front
What?
office role. So
That is awesome.
Kyle Korver's back.
That's the first time I'm hearing that. That is
Yeah.
sick. That jazzes me up.
He's like one of the all-time 3-point leaders. Maybe not 3-point shots because I know that's Steph Curry, but I think he's
when
like
he
percentage
retired,
wise.
Yeah, when he retired, I think he was either just below Ray Allen or past him, maybe even. I'm not positive on that, but somewhere around there. Yeah.
He also had that legendary season of 90-50-50 or whatever it was, or
Yes.
close or whatever. It was
No, I
just-
think he did hit it. Yeah, 90-50-50, I think was his.
which for anyone who doesn't know, it's
or maybe it was
90%.
90-50-40.
I think it was 90-50-40. And anyone who doesn't know, it's 90% from the free throw, 50% from the field, and 40% from the 3-point percentage. And I think he
Yes.
was like a percentage point away from that 90-50-50 or something like that.
Either way. Maybe it was like 39.6 and we just round up.
Yeah. So Kyle Korver's back though. I
Yeah.
thought we should launch that before we hit the Braves.
Oh, I love that.
Kyle Korver
Yeah, let's
is
improvise our
back.
way over to the
All right.
Braves then.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Okay. What's going on with the Braves? So Austin Riley got added to the All-Star team late due to somebody getting injured, I believe, or just deciding not to go.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
And this kind of for Aaron and for you, Hayden, for two different reasons. So when someone doesn't go to the All-Star game, kind of like how Max Fried's not going, and someone replaces them, is there an asterisk next to that All-Star title?
I don't think so.
No,
I think they're
so-
both all-stars now.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
It kind of just expands the roster, and some people were complaining about like, oh, it's like 10% of the league is in the All-Star game now or something like that. So, but like if you think about it, like
That's like the
average
top-
roster size per team is like 6% anyways.
Right.
Or
That's the
like-
top 10% of the league. I feel like
Yeah.
should be rewarded. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's not
90th
bad to
percentile.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. The All-Star game is in the middle of the season anyways. So
Yeah.
like,
but it's the best all-star. I think baseball is the best all-star weekend or week of
For
all
sure.
professional sports.
oh really?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I
Did you
think
see where else can you find Bryan Cranston getting ejected from the celebrity game?
yes, that was
Oh,
awesome.
I don't
That was
know.
a great clip.
It
Yeah,
was
it was.
inside too. It looked inside. To
Oh,
me.
it was so inside.
I was with him.
He was correct. And then J.K. Simmons had to come pull him off.
What
Oh.
a duo right there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was
Oh
good.
man,
But
those
the
are two
reason-
guys that would like be very intimidating to piss off.
Absolutely.
And I'll say, like, I think the what's it called? NBA has a good all-star weekend as well. But however,
Yeah.
the people you want to watch the dunk contest are never in it. Whereas the home run derby is the best of the best every year out there just
Yeah.
slugging.
It's like, to me, if you were to break it down, the MLB has the most family-friendly all-star weekend.
for sure.
NBA is kind of like a big party with a very cool game at the end of that. And then the NFL one might as well not exist.
It shouldn't
Uh,
exist.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's the demerit of having the All-Star game at the end of the season is like nobody watches it or cares at all.
I just the hard part about football is, and I get it, you can't do it during the middle of the year because of injuries. So why not
Yeah.
make it like a flag football or something, or let
Which
let them
they
go out
almost
there and
kinda
have their
did.
own home run derby and let that be my football. Like, I just want to see our players do something besides like honestly, most of the good players miss it too because the Super Bowl takes, I don't know, every year the Super Bowl takes about 10 players from the Pro Bowl. I feel like around that area. Between the two teams, because I mean every year you got a lot of Pro Bowlers on Super Bowl teams. So
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
but the reason I asked Kai's about the asterisk thing about the All-Star thing is because Kai's giving asterisks to the COVID wins, aka
Yes.
the Dodgers World Series champion and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
you don't give asterisks to people who get subbed into All-Star games.
Well, yeah, that's a completely different thing. That's apples and oranges. As someone that knows apples and oranges very well,
That's true. You do.
I do. Yeah, no, I
Produce
think
joke for all you guys out there.
yeah, produce joke there. But yeah, no, I just don't think those are comparable really at all. Other than the fact that they both get asterisks, maybe.
So there is an asterisk.
Well, no, sorry. I see what you're saying. No, yeah, I do think one should get an asterisk, i.e., the COVID championship.
Okay, but
and that one shouldn't, being the.
I mean,
and,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, if you wanted to give an asterisk to the MLB one, it would just be that it would just be a footnote to explain what happened. Whereas in the other one, it should be to say that it doesn't count. So.
Oh my!
Ooh,
Yeah.
And I know we can have a conversation about this later. Heck, maybe not even a Blursed of the week, but a cursed of the week could be Aaron and his rant on how all the COVID championships don't count.
LA specifically had great year. That's the only
they
time
got two.
Really, they got two that year.
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway,
City of Mickey Mouse championships.
Oh, absolutely.
As Blooper would say.
Oh my god, yeah, Blooper. The Braves sent Blooper out to the All-Star game this weekend in LA, and he just caused a straight up hell immediately with some different tweets and stuff, just pissing people off immediately.
I love it.
Is Blooper one of the most loved like mascots universally, or is that just Braves fans?
I think he's gained like a pretty intense following, like
He
not
has.
just in Braves country, but I mean just from his social media presence and what they've done with it, because it was kind of weird when he came onto the scene and everybody's like, what the fuck is
What's
this
a blooper?
thing?
Yeah,
Like,
he did. It doesn't make much sense. I know him and Barstool Big Cat have a
I was just going to bring
feud.
that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a little ongoing friendly rivalry, which is, I think that's expanded their brand, or Bloopers brand, if you will. Big
for
time.
sure.
But,
Hey, but what's good for the brand's good for the Braves.
That's
so
right.
I'm all for
And
it.
it's a great, I think it's done a phenomenal job erasing the past mascot. No one talks about what the past mascot was. And so Blooper has done a phenomenal job getting rid of that black eye.
No, I agree 100%. And I think the cool part about it was they're like, you know what? There's no good way to do this. Let's just go be silly with it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy Blooper.
Like the Philly Fanatic, that green little piece of shit that they have running around or whatever.
Don't they also have like a trash monster for their hockey team or something like that?
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, I mean, Philadelphia. So
yeah, it's a big old
I'll look it up.
city.
So I guess, I was just gonna bring up Austin Riley's stats a little bit here and like how well he's been playing, especially the last couple weeks. So he was definitely deserving of being in the All-Star game. He's right up there with other third baseman league leaders. He's just right behind Arenado and Machado, like we were saying last week. But he's still having a hell of a year. He's up to 27 home runs now before the All-Star break, which I think he's only the second Brave to do that.
Yep,
it's crazy.
And also Freddie got added to the
Freddie
All-Star
got added
week
as well. Yeah. Which he's had a really hot streak of late as well. So it's kind of hard to capture the guys that are like getting hot right at the All-Star break because they may not have been perfect to get in initially with the fan vote and stuff like that. But I mean, he's just playing so well. He's a 3.6 WAR. Let's see what he was projected for at the beginning of the year. Yeah, he
also
was projected like for round 2.
Oh, wow.
But
I was just going to interject and say also Matt Olson's been really hot out of late. If we want to give Freddie his chops, like Matt Olson's been on fire.
Oh yeah.
And I just
It's fun to
linked
see.
that picture to the
Yes, and it was Gritty. I forgot
Gritty,
that Gritty
yes.
was the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. I completely forgot that's who he was.
If you're watching or if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube right now, go ahead and look up Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers. I think it's the name of their hockey team. Look up.
Yeah,
He's kind of horrifying in some ways. And I know there's some cursed images of him, and maybe we'll go over in that. Maybe
he's
an
a
upcoming
huge
TikTok.
meme.
Maybe
It's
we'll talk
great.
about cursed mascots.
Mhm.
Billy's got a
That-
couple of them.
That thing is like nightmare fuel.
It is.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, if you're a
And the
kid,
76ers
you're running the
one is
opposite way.
terrifying as well. What the hell?
I
What
think
is
it's a
it?
dog. I think it's a
Is it?
dog. I don't know.
That is weird.
I do not.
Yeah, I
like
guess
it.
the
I don't
only
like
one that's
that.
not weird is the eagle. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for the
they're
Eagles,
gonna
yeah.
do something to it, make it scary.
That's fair. It sticks
all
in
right.
the mind.
So away from the Philadelphia mascots, shout out Austin Riley for making the All-Star team. Hopefully he gets in there and hits a ding dong. Maybe he should have been the one in the home run derby for as many home runs as he had this year, but he was late addition, and instead Ronald Acuna Jr. got into the home run derby, and he fell in the first round to Pete Alonso, who's won the last two.
He also fell to Pete in the semifinals last
time.
I believe, or last time he was in it.
I have a couple of things. Did they do the seeding based off of last year, or was that just?
I think it's based on the number of home runs you have.
Okay, so that's why Acuna was 7th.
Yes, and so like I think he only has 8 home runs on the year.
Right.
So he's still finding that power stroke. Obviously, when he connects, it just goes though. It's fun to watch. But
here's a fun thing there. Sorry, not to interrupt, Hayden. I was just gonna say
ahead.
I just learned this today. Did you guys know the rule about if it's tied after 9 innings, what they're gonna do?
Oh,
this is the first year.
Oh, for the All-Star game?
For the All-Star game.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome idea.
Yeah, they're gonna do a mini home run derby. Each team's gonna send 3 people up there, and that's gonna decide the tie.
That's way better. I mean,
it's awesome.
Honestly, maybe the NBA All-Star or no, it should be decided like something like that. If they ever go to overtime. I don't know. They score like 200 points though in those games.
They do. It's so
but man, I think it's a great way to end it, and I think it is an exhibition game. So let's have fun with it. I don't know. I really like it.
I think if it does
each team
happen,
pick one guy.
Yeah, it's predetermined.
It's so 3 batters, right?
So I don't know what the ALs are going to be, but
did you get 3 pitches each?
That I don't know either, but I do know that the 3 guys are Schwarber, Alonso, and Acuna for the NL. But I don't know who.
Now I hope it goes into extra innings because that would be awesome to watch.
That would be sick.
Well, it's a sudden death, right? It just decides it right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't go beyond that home run thing. I guess it's
So it's kind of like soccer in that way, right? Like a kick, like a
golden goal, kind of. But it's both teams get a chance, though.
Yeah, no one really does golden goal anymore. But yes, yeah.
I'm looking up those rules while y'all are.
Yeah, FIFA was golden goal was, I don't know. If you're the guy that scored it, it felt great, but
anyone who ever wanted to golden goal you, they were scared.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to PKs, baby. But anyway, wrong segment.
Back to baseball.
No, it doesn't even matter, man. We're talking sports.
We are.
Yeah.
For some reason, we were talking in this podcast and we're recording online right now, but Google will not work for me, so I will not be Googling this All-Star weird.
He's gonna cut out here in a second.
Luckily, I use Bing, so if Google's down, we got Bing. So
I don't think it's a Google problem,
joke, right?
No, I actually do use Bing.
Oh my god!
Really?
Weirdly enough, it's only because.
Is this because you use Apple too? So you're like, I can't use Google.
No, it's not that. I just happened to be super lazy the last time, or that I kind of cleaned out my computer and re-logged in to Google Chrome, and it said I had an update to do, and it gave me one single bit of resistance, and I was like, okay, Microsoft Edge it is. So yeah, I'm sitting here looking at Microsoft Edge.
That's all it took.
Yeah, and I'm a Bing guy now.
I think you're the only one. You're keeping them afloat.
Hey, if you also use Bing, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment in the comment in the comment section, or send Aaron some mail to which.
Yes, send me something on
light.
Bing me.
Bing.
I don't know if you can do that. I don't know. I'll have to see.
So let's get back to the Braves here. So obviously the All-Star games tonight. So can't speak to that one too much. It'll be. Everybody will know what's going on after the recording posts, but there was also the rookie draft for MLB at the beginning of this week, which I think they're doing a better job of showcasing that as part of like the All-Star weekend now. The Braves selected a handful of pitchers and then a couple of position players that they're trying to use to restock our farm system. And so a little bit surprisingly, we took a lot of high school pitchers, which hasn't been like our strategy.
Was it like 4 right-handers we took out of high school?
4 righties. And so those were like our first picks, and then the 20th overall pick was our first pick, Owen Murphy. And so apparently there's a little confusion with that, and he was confused that he might be getting to hit and pitch, but apparently the Braves have sorted that out with him, and he will only be pitching in our farm system. So no Shohei Ohtani for us, unfortunately.
And what bothers me about that too, it doesn't bother me, but one, if the kid bat 550 or something like that in high school from shortstop, raking, just absolutely raking. Obviously, he was a better pitcher. I think his ERA was like
.12.
Yeah,
is
.12
what it
or
was.
something
Oh my
crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not even one. So I think he had 4 complete games, 2 perfect games in high
He
school.
did.
So it's pretty incredible his stats. But the problem that bothered me is like the Braves were so adamant about how he cannot play both ways. And the kid seems pretty eager to play both ways. And so I've heard some national pundits talk about the fact that he may not sign that deal with us. I don't know if he has yet. I haven't looked into it.
And to be fair, it's not like, the Shohei Otani comparison, obviously that's what's the word I'm looking for? Ambitious. But also, if you're going to look at two franchises and which one you might want to listen to as far as going through by their mold, it's going to be the Braves and not the Angels. So,
Yes.
For sure.
yeah. So
Very true. Yeah, Shohei's is just a generational talent.
He
Like that
is.
just doesn't happen.
But also the Angels have 2 generational talents and they've wasted both of them. Well, I will
it's
say
so weird. It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen in sports.
they have time still to redeem the latter of the two. But Mike Trout, like his entire career is to be in LA. And one, I don't think people know who Mike Trout is if you're not a baseball fan. Like everyone knows who LeBron is. You don't have to watch basketball. You know who LeBron is. We could talk all day about how MLB does a horrible job marketing their players.
Right.
But your best player in the entire league plays in LA, which is one of your most marketable cities. And they can't even get a winning season.
No, not even close.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing, but they gotta work on their marketing, and maybe we'll talk about Manfred here in a minute because he made a really dumb comment today. But real quick on Owen Murphy, so he will be just pitching if he decides to sign. If he doesn't decide to sign with the Braves, then next season's draft will move up. We'll get compensated that pick again. We'll move up a spot. Hopefully he decides to sign. I think if I were the Braves, I probably would have let that be a little vague at first. Wait till he signs and then make that decision.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, you know what? I don't know. Let's not do that. Which,
But also, like, what's the harm in him doing both in minors? I mean, I just don't know. Like,
I mean, yeah, you can at least give him a shot. If he's not hitting, then you just pull the plug on it. But, I mean, in first round, you're looking at a lot of money. So, on it, a lot of the time, too, it's like these guys that are coming out of high school, it has a lot to do with like their family's income. If they decide to
actually get drafted or not.
Yeah. So like
that's fair.
These early round baseball players, they're looking at big signing bonuses, and that's what they're kind of living off of. But if you're offering some of these kids that don't come from money, over $1 million or multi-million-dollar signing bonuses instead of going to college, it makes a difference. So, and I've heard of guys that come from a little bit of money decide to go to college instead, that's a risk in itself too. So
yeah, because you fall under the depth chart, or you just never hit that next milestone that you thought you might hit.
Yep.
To continue on with Braves, I know in day 2, I don't know if you had this, Hayden, but day 2, I heard we took a lot of like sluggers, like hitters, and I think a lot of people were saying that's because of the DH now.
Yeah, that
would
makes
make
sense to me.
sense.
Yeah, looks like we drafted 2 different catchers in the first 10 rounds. Some first base, third base, DH type prospects.
Exactly.
And yeah, you fill up your farm team with sluggers, and hopefully you get 1 or 2 that hit, and then you end up with a guy like Austin Riley or William Contreras, and these guys that it feels like they come out of nowhere and they just make an impact immediately.
For sure.
And the crazy part is with the youth of the Braves team and how we've had a lot of these key players locked up, like you don't need many of these people to pan out too much.
Yeah.
No.
You hope that they start playing well, then it's kind of like you get trade pieces while we're in
100%.
in the World Series window here in the next 5 to 10 years, which is crazy to say. That's the size of a window for a championship, for another championship.
It's a little different in baseball, I feel like, compared to other sports. Your window is a lot longer, and I think a lot of that has to do with the no salary cap, which
and it also has to do with how you open said window. Like you can
True.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that we're gonna have to do a deep dive on how the Braves have built this team.
That'd be awesome.
Construction wise,
Yes.
at some point, just because like the way that they've brought guys up that contribute like almost 2 at a time over the last like 6 years or so.
That's a good
it's
point.
pretty crazy. And then because of the way it spaces out, you're able to re-sign these guys and just kind of keep it going. And then if there's guys like Freddie that you can't re-sign, you got somebody else you can bring right up, and you can just fill that hole immediately without spending a ton of money. So it's pretty impressive what they've been able to do with that. But
and also like I'm just getting excited thinking about that. The people they brought in, even if it was temporary, like the veterans they brought in and stuff like that, all did a great job mentoring the team, helping lead the team. We didn't have great seasons, but they kept the Braves relevant enough to make it where when we did make this jump, it wasn't a shocker, it wasn't a surprise, and now like we're there. So
Yeah. Yeah, so it's looking good for the Braves. We're currently 2.5 games back after the All-Star game. So real quick, we're just gonna look through and kind of see what's gonna happen the next part of the season. Right after the All-Star game break ends, we're actually going up against the Angels, which I think is the first time in a couple years we've played them at home.
Can't recall that.
I think Shohei is actually going to pitch.
Sick.
So if anybody's able to get out to that game, I would definitely recommend it. Fortunately, I can't go. I would love to see him in person.
Hey, speaking of, the Angels aren't in last place. I'm looking at it right now. They are just above the A's in that division.
Oof.
They're 20 and a half games back of first place. So, but they're only 10 games back of the wild card. So,
it's so funny. They started off really hot to start this year, and then they had like over 10 game losing streak.
Did they? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So they just fell off the map.
They fired their manager. They were on a 12-game winning streak, and then I think they went on a 10-game losing streak or something like that, or like they matched wins for losses, and then they fired.
That's wild.
Yeah, Joe Madden hit the door.
Speaking of that division, the Mariners and streaks. The Mariners on a 14-game win streak, the hottest team in baseball right now, which is kind of crazy. You don't hear that about the Mariners?
No, not since like 2001 when they went over 100 games.
Well, you saw their rookie phenom in the home run derby last night. I think he's at 20 home runs on the season, something like that, and he's a rookie. So I mean, they have a well-built team. I feel like Seattle too. They're not one of those teams that are consistently like perennial contenders, but they always come every 5-10 years have a team that can make a run.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to watch. And also the Orioles are kind of making a push too, which is super interesting. Nobody expected it this year, but that's what can happen when you bring up some of these rookies and they start panning out. It can kind of change the mentality of the whole system. And they're like, oh shit, we actually have a shot at this. Let's go for it. And
exactly.
These guys don't know better than what the Orioles way is or whatever. So
yeah,
I saw an awesome stat that was like Stanton for the Yankees like has a bigger salary than the entire Orioles roster or something like that. I know it's the A's roster, but I think the Orioles are right there too. Like it's really close.
That would not surprise.
And the Orioles are out there in a really hard division. And they're actually over 500 right now. So pretty incredible.
That makes me want to bring up the Juan Soto stuff. So Juan Soto has turned down another contract offer from the Nationals that was 15 years, $440 million.
Crazy. That man's betting on himself.
Which comes out to $29 million a year for those who don't have a calculator on them while driving.
That's pretty good AAV still, but that would be hard to turn down, right, guys?
Maybe he doesn't believe in the future of Washington.
Especially since I believe I saw something he's making $629,000 this year.
Hey, he just He just made a fresh mill off of the home run derby, so good for him.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting. So now apparently they're trying to field trades, and what Washington wants out of it is pretty crazy. They want like 4 or 5 prospects, and then they want the team to also eat Corbin Burns' contract, which is pretty funny. So I don't know. I mean, if they're able to pull something off like that, they may like expedite their rebuild, because I think they're wanting some young MLB type players too.
Right.
So
I feel like a lot of GMs around the league have to be looking at AA and be like, how did you get Acuna and Albies for those deals? The 10-year, $100 million, and the.
Hey, by the way, I want to correct myself. That was the end of his rookie deal. He's on a 4-year, $17 million deal right now,
which is still a
steal, but not what I said.
All right, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So Juan Soto, he's making $17 million this year, but he's trying to make more, probably closer to $40 to $50 million per year. So we'll see what happens. I think it's kind of more likely that he ends up on a large market team.
Yeah.
And like the Boston, the Yankees.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think the last thing he wants is to end up like Mike Trout. He's definitely he's a charismatic guy, kind of like Acuna. He doesn't want to be on a small market team that gives him a huge contract and then they're not going to be able to compete because that's
Well, he's
just
got
how
more World
baseball
Series
is.
than they do, so
He's got his one, so better than Trout. But I think the competitor in you wants to do it every year, so he probably wants to be in the mix. But anyways, jumping back to the Braves schedule, we do have a lot of matchups left with with the Mets. So we will. That's going to be the tide turning in the division. We win most of those matchups with the Mets, then it's probably going to go our way. If not, then we'd be looking at a wild card berth.
no, for sure. I want to correct something real quick too. Orioles' active salary is 32 million. Stanton makes 25 million a year, so it's 7 million difference, but it
Pretty
is
close still.
pretty close. But yeah, for the Braves finishing out the year this year, as long as your pitching keeps up and your bullpen stays hot like they are, and your bats keep going, like whether you win the division or make a wild card spot, like you're going to have a chance to make the playoffs. It just really depends on, do the Mets met or do we have a fight to the end? Like as long as we stay close, this could come down to the last week of baseball.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. The last two series, we have 3 games versus the Mets and then 3 games versus the Marlins right there at the end of September and beginning of October. So
That's a good way to end the season.
It would be.
yeah, it's pretty good scheduling by MLB there. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with the Braves right now, and so we're looking forward to a good second half, and hopefully we just keep up the momentum.
100%.
Yes, sir. All right, so do we want to move on over to a slightly larger ball, yet still round, in soccer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
No, for
So
sure.
they play with
this
the ball,
time
right?
they do. Yeah, they do play with one, and
I think most people refer to it as football.
football, indeed. Yes. Yeah, I can always say no matter what that my favorite sport is football, and it's just a tie between both different types of it. But so yeah, well, first off, I want to point out we got our first sponsor of the podcast. Now, they didn't give us any money, but it is a close friend of ours. His name's Sam. And so we're renaming this the Atlanta United segment Sam's Soccer Seg of the Week. He's the biggest soccer fan I know. I owe
You call him a
lot
super
of-
fan, right?
Yeah, you would call someone like him a super fan of the game of soccer, the beautiful game, as Sam calls it. And yeah, so speaking of that, so shout out to Sam. But yeah, so speaking of that, we have a Happy United segment for once, which is something that I'm so happy about myself. So we're just going to talk about the 2 matches. We're going to do a quick little recap of those 2 that happened since the last time we all got together. And then we're going to jump directly into what caused the fact that we haven't lost since last time we spoke, which is our new signing, Juan Parada. And then we're also going to talk about Darren Eales, the president, leaving our club to go back to the Premier League. So,
Wah, wah, wah.
yeah. So let's start real quick with last week, last Wednesday, I believe it was, we played Real Salt Lake, which is a team similar to the Angels out west that we don't play a lot here in Atlanta. I think we haven't played them since 2019. And
They should consider themselves lucky.
yes, they should. So this was perhaps our most complete game of the season since all the injuries started to roll in. Early in the game, Joseph Martinez didn't start, so his backup, Ronaldo. That's right, folks. Ronaldo plays in Atlanta. Ronaldo Cisneros scored an early 11th minute goal that was on a beautiful assist by by Thiago Almada. And then in the 33rd minute, Cisneros did it again, taking us up 2-1. Now, we still did the thing that we've been doing all year.
I was gonna say that right after that
where
goal.
we gave up, we scored in the 33rd to go up 2-0, and then we gave up a goal in the 37th. However, this time it was a bit different. They scored in the 37th, but then we finished out the half very well. Marcelino Moreno actually hit the post on a free kick in added time of the first half to almost put us up 3-1.
Man, that would have felt so good too.
It would have, and a buzzer beater of sorts it would have been. But so we go to the second half, and it's some of the best defending that I've seen this team do in a long time. And partly because I want to give Gonzalo Pineda credit for how he set up the back line. He did a back 5 or back 3, depending on how you look at it. Really, on defense, it's a back 5. It's 3 center backs, 2 wing backs on either side. And then on offense, it's a back 3. and the wingbacks move up
Correct. Yeah.
to play as wings on offense. So you're only able to do that if you have a good back three. And Juan Parada, this was his debut, and he absolutely showed out. The man looked every bit the part. And we'll continue that over real quick into the Orlando match that happened Sunday. National broadcast. We were on ABC playing our hated rival down there in Disneyland or Disney World. I can't remember which is which.
Wait, were we in Orlando?
No. I
Yeah.
just mean that's where they're from.
Oh, okay.
The game took place in Atlanta.
That's what I thought. I thought they came up here.
So
they're our rival, but let the record show we've beaten their ass.
Oh yeah. Now of late, they have had better fortunes than we have. They've enjoyed their two best years in franchise history this season and last season, making the playoffs for the first time ever in their franchise history. Last year, it's funny, they've made the playoffs as many times as we have missed the playoffs in our franchise history. But
yeah, but let's just say last year was a Mickey Mouse trip to the playoffs.
Wait, for Orlando or Atlanta?
Well, every trip to the playoffs for Orlando is a Mickey Mouse trip.
Yes,
so, you're not wrong.
No, you're right. So by the way, we won the RSL match 2-1. So the Orlando game, it's kind of the strange duality of soccer. It was a much more dominant performance, yet we didn't win. So we played a much better team in Orlando. I think they're 4th in the league right now. They score on the 10th minute off a controversial free kick. We don't have to get too much into that. We don't like to blame refs around here.
No, but you should. And VAR. Let me just say something real quick. VAR, whatever this crap is, where they're doing this to the go to the ball, and then also officiating in baseball are like the worst. The baseball review and VAR, the two worst in all sports. And I don't know which one's worse. I think baseball's actually
worse just because the balls and strikes are so,
which is
commonly.
Yes, and when you review anything in baseball, it hardly ever gets overturned, even though it looks painfully obvious. Like they're years behind. But VAR it is one of those things where you feel like, wow, that actually worked out. And then but it's like every other time you're like, how do you miss this?
And the thing, and so just for people who don't know, and it kind of explains why it still doesn't work very well. VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee, and so unlike instant replay in American football, where it goes to everything gets reviewed by the home office in New York when it goes there. In soccer, VAR he's literally just an extra ref that sits up in the booth and has a radio communication with the main referee down on the field and the two side judges on either side of the pitch. And it's literally when they send it to VAR, he's just reviewing it. So yeah, it's just another human who has a chance to mess up the call. Is basically what it is.
And also, I feel like there's less oversight too. So, like, saying there's biases in these, because I'm not coming here and say that refs are out here trying to throw soccer games, but it helps when it's not that the New York office is a third party, but kind of essentially is, though. You're not in the stadium, so like none of the refs can get mad at you for the call you change and overturn.
Right.
And not that anyone should get mad when a call gets overturned, because we want correct play. Like that's what everyone wants.
So let's just tell the folks what happened here if you didn't see it. So a lot of times, so the foul was legit that caused this free kick. It was a real foul. It was just outside the box, the 18-yard box. So it was a very enticing opportunity for them. Our young goalkeeper, Rocco Rios Novo, is setting up his wall in front of him. And the referee almost always, in fact, no, I won't say almost, always, the referee makes sure the person who's about to take the kick is ready. And then he looks at the goalkeeper and makes sure the goalkeeper's ready. And then he blows his whistle. And when he blows his whistle, all right, so it's live. As soon as the ball's kicked, we're going. But this time, he looked and made sure the Orlando player was ready. And then he blew his whistle. And Rocco is still in goal, setting up. You can literally see him if you go back and look at it. He's talking to the guys in the wall. They're turning around looking at him. He's looking at them, telling them to move left or move right. And then the ref blows the whistle. The guy taking the free kick looks up and sees that Atlanta's not ready.
No one's ready.
And he's like, oh, okay. And he just bangs one to the broad face of the goal that is glaringly open. And they go up 1-0 in the 10th minute. It was so Yeah, it was.
I
so
didn't watch it, but that
upsetting.
sounds extremely frustrating.
It was,
Just
man.
from
It
your
really
description.
was.
The other frustrating part about that is that we already have an issue with free kicks. Like we've
Yeah.
had it all season. And so
Yes.
you finally start to feel like we're getting wraps on this, and then that shit happens. So it's
Yep.
just, and you can't, like you said, you can't fault the team there, but also you can't fault the ref. So I mean, you could. We
You
want
could
to.
fault the refs,
As
but it
a
doesn't
Atlanta
matter.
fan, you want to. But
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
faulting the refs doesn't do anything. So
I will. Fuck that.
yeah,
guy.
thank you, Nick. Thank you for that. But so basically, I was so proud of this team not crumbling, under the adversity of that, because we dominated the rest of the first half, and we absolutely dominated the second half. We actually had 62% possession on the game to their 38%. I believe we had 14 shots, 10 of them on goal, and they had somewhere around 6 or 7 total shots. I don't have that exactly right in front of me.
We got to start
But
finishing those goals.
We did.
Like when you have that many on shot. But the good
But
news
no, I'm
is,
just saying it shows
yes, it's
how on the attacking foot we were.
100%. And we also, if you recall last week when we recorded, we were actually kind of down about Atlanta United, and we were talking about all the turmoil after the last game.
Well, it
and
seems
how
like Austin was a bit of a recap. A wake up. Excuse me.
Yes.
I'm staring at the word recap on my screen. But yeah, no, it looks like it was a bit of a wake up call. I think they should have had a wake up call prior to now, but I guess now's as good time as any. And so we go on. Juan Parada, the man we just talked about, actually scores Atlanta's only goal in the second half.
That's a defender too.
Oh, yeah. It was a beautiful set piece. He made a phenomenal run just in behind their back line, yet kept himself on side. Thiago Almada, who is also probably our best passer, probably our best, most talented player also. But
Sure.
he put a ball directly on top of Parada's head. Parada got it into the corner, and we're 1-1. Now, there was one disappointing thing. Joseph came on again in the second half, and he was very un-Joseph performance. He actually there was a fast break opportunity, a counterattack, if you will, where it was basically a 2-on-2 or a 2-on-1. It was Joseph and Araujo against one of their defenders and their goalie. So basically a 2-on-1 plus the goalie. And Araujo takes the kick. The goalie deflects it right at Joseph's feet. And he somehow just lifts his leg up to kick it, and he kicks it over the ball and completely whiffs. And they even said it on the broadcast, Taylor Twellman did, that you could probably count on one hand the amount of times that Joseph Martinez has done something like that. So that was just unfortunate. And then at the end of the game, we also Thiago Almada also hit the post. And so I felt like we should have won, but hey, that's soccer.
But it's a tie. It's a tie
cruel
worth
game.
feeling good about
Right.
against a good team.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a
So-
good effort.
Yeah, it absolutely was. So we'll move on real quick to the next part. A guy that we talked about in the recap of those two games, Juan Parada. We talked about him when a couple weeks ago when it was announced he was coming here. I said that I was very excited about him, hopefully strengthening the back line. And I'm not going to lie, guys, that's exactly what he's done. Like I said, he made his debut against RSL, and just a few little stats there. It was a more even game, honestly, than the Orlando one, even though they're a lesser opponent. Just a couple stats here. We had 23 tackles, 19 interceptions. We cleared the ball 36 times.
Wow.
Compared to Real Salt Lake's 14 clearances.
Wow.
And then if you look at a little more advanced analytics on it, shout out Gray, he helped give more stability to the back five, allowing the young guy, Aiden McFadden, to have his best game in the attacking third, because he truly was able to now
Push up.
Because McFadden plays on the right side. They put Parada on the right side as well next to him, and he locked down that right side and allowed McFadden to push up just like Caleb Wiley does on the left side. And so we talked about a couple weeks ago pressures in the defensive third. And if you guys look at the little graph I've got here, the guy I've highlighted at the bottom, that's Juan Parada. He had 8 defensive pressures in the defensive third. And as y'all see, no one else on the team came even close to that. The next highest was 4. And then half of those, he had a 50% successful pressure rate, which, as we talked about last week or the week before, I think, is that a successful pressure is when your team wins possession within 5 seconds of putting pressure on the person with the ball. And that happened 4 out of his 8 pressures. And like I said, all 8 of them were on defense. So that's phenomenal. That right there is something that we haven't done all year.
I have a question for you. So I'm looking at Juan Parada. He's 24 years old. He is 6'2".
Oh yeah.
He's a right foot center back. Honestly, would you say behind Miles Robinson, he's our best defender we have? I know Miles is hurt.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't push Alan Franco out of the way there just yet.
Yeah.
Because he is certainly very talented. He's the guy we brought in to be the rock on the back line next to Miles. But as we've also talked about, he's been kind of inconsistent. And I think that he was also great these past 2 games. I think that having Juan Parada there in the back 3 with him helps take the pressure off of him. Having someone just as talented or almost as talented as him be there and, knocking people around and clearing the ball to free him up to do other things as well. So,
and the other, sorry. I was going to say the other thing about Parada too is I think he brings some much needed height and like stoutness to our back line that we've been missing.
We defended set pieces a lot better.
Yeah. And
this time.
But one thing I do want to ask is a loan from Tigres. How long we have him? Do you think we sign him?
I absolutely do. I think that let me take that back. I think we would sign him if Pineda still wants to play a back 5. Right. If he doesn't want to play a back 5 and he wants to go back to the back 4, then maybe we don't. Maybe we just let the loan expire, given that Miles is going to come back next season.
Right.
And you don't, but if you want to, I think we should transition to this back 3. I like playing a back 3 because, and again, back 3, back 5, the terms are interchangeable. It becomes a back 3 on offense. But anyway, so we'll basically just have to see how they want to run that through Pineda's system. But I would love to keep him. He looks the part through 2 matches. I don't want to get too excited about it, but I think that he's what we've needed, and it showed these past 2 games.
I mean, we've been preaching a soccer name too.
Oh, it is.
For sure.
Absolutely. It gets even better, Hayden. His full name is Juan Jose Parada Sanchez. And because his first 2 names are Juan Jose, his nickname is Juanjo. And I love that personally.
It's like Waho.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect for the city.
It's perfect for the city.
Juanjo.
Oh, yes. Juanjo.
But anyway, so let's move on real quick to the next pressing issue, or not pressing per se, but big issue with Atlanta United, and that's that our president, Darren Eales, the guy who built this team.
He built this city.
He did. He is leaving to go back to the Premier League, which makes me sad because while the team has struggled a little bit the past couple seasons, I don't think any of that has been his fault. He's done great with recruitment. He set up the team, like I said, initially. He built the first ever Atlanta United team.
Let me chime in real quick. Something to just to compliment Darren Eales.
Oh,
like you said, he did build this team. We won a championship with him at the helm. We've watched one of our players go to where I think he's going right now, which is Miggy.
He'll team back up
out of Newcastle. So you've seen a ton of success under him. You also saw that he wasn't afraid to make a move early when he saw something wasn't working. He had and Arthur Blank had the trust in him, which I wonder. I mean, Arthur Blank, I don't think knows much about soccer compared to football. I mean, maybe more is more. I don't know.
One could argue he doesn't know much about football, but
right. But he's more. But you can see he's more hands-on.
Oh yeah, and I'm football. Kidding. I love Uncle Arthur. No hate there.
But it does make you worry about what is the future after Darren Eales and he departs. Do we have is this culture in place going to be set in stone, or did he bring a lot of that culture? Did he bring this winning foundation that
we're going to have to see? And a lot of pressure now on Carlos Bocanegra, who was his right-hand man, the guy that was also there. He's the technical director for Atlanta.
He's been here since the beginning, right?
They both have been here since the beginning. He also deserves equal credit for it. But Darren Eales, it's been interesting. You don't really see it much in Atlanta sports specifically, but he's been the face of the franchise. Arthur Blank has let him be the face so that he could focus on the Falcons, and he let Darren Eales be the face of the of Atlanta United ever since he's been here, which has been phenomenal. He's been very outgoing. He goes to a lot of public events. He talks on radio shows. He's a very personable guy. And I wish them all the best over there at Newcastle until they play Everton. But other than that, yeah, I wish them all the best.
Yeah, we're happy for him. I mean, it's good
We
to
are.
see him go. I don't know if we want to get into speculation on who takes his
But you hate
place
to watch him
next.
leave.
I will.
Well, we do hate to watch him leave.
But yeah.
Are you guessing that Bocanegra takes over?
I don't think so, no, because there's also been some speculation on Bocanegra's longevity here at the club. A lot of people seem to think that some of the signings that haven't worked out have been his idea. So, but I don't know how much stock I put into that, because one of the best signings we've had was Luis Araujo last year, and Bocanegra was solely responsible for that signing, from what I read. So
we still have one last Darren Eales signing coming in, Moss, or the Mosquito. I don't know his nickname. I think it was the Mosquito is his nickname.
Oh, you talking about the goalie?
Is that who it was?
Oh no,
I know
no,
it was a striker. I
you're
thought
talking about the winger. Yes,
yeah,
he's a winger attacker guy.
Yeah,
that's right. No, he should also be. Yeah, we have a winger coming in, and we also have a goalie coming in. That should contribute a lot to the team. So go ahead.
I was just saying, it's so funny how you're talking about coming in, and we've been waiting for Juan Host for the last couple of weeks. Like, it's funny how you mentioned the fact that they come in, because in American sports, it happens so fast. Like when a trade happens, it is instantaneous. You don't play for your team, you're out. You're in the next city, maybe the next day.
Yeah, but here with how worldly the game is in soccer, they have what's called transfer windows, and that may be another topic for another day. But yeah, transfer windows are a strange thing to navigate. It's like and there's not really trades in soccer either.
Right.
There's really no trading. It's just one team buying out another guy's contract and then giving him a new contract. That's basically how it goes.
Yeah, it's wild stuff.
It is. But yeah, so with that being said, that was Sam's soccer seg of the week.
Well, before we
Sam.
Well, a good transition for your soccer segment is that with Darren Eales and the hiring that Arthur Blank did for Darren Eales, which, let's give Arthur Blank credit, he hired the right guy.
Oh, he did. And Arthur did his research.
Yes, and hopefully that happens again, and we get another smashing president.
Smashing,
indeed. Yes. But where he hasn't been as fortunate would be our Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to do something a little different this week. I'm going to go into the Blursed of the week first, and then we're going to my segment, because I'm talking about Falcons both times. So our Blursed of the week is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's about time we picked an Atlanta sports team and really dove into why we even wanted to call this podcast Blursed. And the Falcons are probably the greatest epitome. They're the most epitome of what Blursed means in probably all Atlanta sports, I would say. They've yet to reach the highest peak, the championship status, but they've done everything in between. So let's dive on in.
Get in there.
All right, so this is only fitting as we're going into rookie training camp, started today for the Atlanta Falcons. And before we get into this year and all the awesome things that could happen, or just some of the exciting things that the future, I don't know, you always look to the future of your teams with like those sparkly eyes. You're like, please be good this year. The offseason is always the greatest part, especially for Falcons fans. The offseason sometimes is more fun, where you're like all happy, and I don't know, man.
I'm more of a googly eye guy, I guess.
Yeah, googly eye works too.
You are.
I guess I'm more sparkly eyed. But like I was saying, though, in the offseason, you're always looking hopeful. But when you look to the past of the Atlanta Falcons, because I think, and Aaron and I have talked about this recently, we as Falcons fans are actually living in the most successful time in Atlanta Falcons history. The last 15 years, I mean, you could literally say the last 12 years, have been the most successful, we'll say 15, most successful years of Falcons history.
Yeah.
And
shout out Mike Smith.
Yes, shout out Mike Smith. Shout out Matt Ryan.
Yep.
So when we look into history of the Falcons, Atlanta Falcons started in 1966. They were only back when there was only our first year there was only 15 teams in the whole crazy. NFL. Our second year there became 16 teams.
That's not long after we were one of the first expansion teams after the leagues merged into the NFL, I believe.
No, exactly. So 5 years in, there's now 26 teams. But guess what? The Falcons have yet to have their first winning season. However, that changes. On our sixth season, 1971, we have our first winning season. Yep. We go 7-6-1. and we don't make the playoffs. There's only
Oh,
four
Norm
playoff
Van
teams.
Brocklin, I believe, was the head coach back
Yes,
then.
old Van Brocklin. He was the coach, but we did not make playoffs that year. There were only 4 teams from each division that make playoffs, and as you know, there were 26 teams, so you only have 8 of 26 going. So it's actually probably the smallest percentage of teams going to the playoffs during that period of time. As you look forward in history, the first time we do make playoffs is 1978 under Coach Bennett. I don't know his first name, but this is where you get to our quarterback, who is probably considered, I think he's considered the second greatest now franchise quarterback in Falcons history behind Matt Ryan, which would be Bartowski.
Oh, yeah.
So he leads us to our first playoff season. This is in our 13th season. So 13 years into the NFL. So my dad, who is born in 52, has been an Atlanta sports fan his entire life. So I haven't talked to him about this. I should have talked to him before the podcast, but I'm sure he was a fan from day one. So after 13 years of watching the Falcons, they finally get their first time to go to the playoffs. They go 9-7. Super excited. Could you imagine that? Like right now, if we were a 13-year drought, I mean, our expectations for the Falcons recently have been like playoffs or bust. It's been that at least the last 15 years, like I said.
So compare that to United almost, and like when they started, they were successful immediately. Can you imagine like what would have happened?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And speaking of soccer and the way the popularity worked, like in America, if Atlanta United did not start off hot, it could have actually blown up in our faces.
Bad. It could have gone bad, not only for us, but for the league. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would have been horrible.
We've seen that with the Thrashers too. So R.I.P. Thrashers.
Rest in peace. But they still have the copyright. The hockey, they could come back. Who knows? Who knows? 1978, though, like I say, in the first playoffs, in the 1978 playoffs, we play Philadelphia in the first round. We beat them. Nice. We lose to Dallas. Dallas goes on to lose the championship against Pittsburgh. We're going to fast forward a little bit more. Bartowski ends up being the first quarterback to take the playoffs, but also he takes us 3 times during his tenure, but we never make it past the divisional round. We lose the wild card in 82. We're going to fast forward again to more years of just awful losing streak. I believe it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, another about 10-year streak. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Blake, I just want to point out, no offense to Steve Bartkowski, but I think one might say Michael Vick was probably our second best quarterback.
Yes,
in franchise history. But
yeah, and we could have a debate.
No. Yeah. Go ahead. I just wanted. I didn't want us to forget him though. Yeah.
No. Yeah, and we'll get into Michael Vick too. Okay. And we could compare how many times we both went to playoffs. Fair. But yeah, so we don't go to playoffs again until 91. So the last time we goes in 82, and then 9 years later we go in 91. This is under Coach Glanville.
Yep, old Jerry Glanville.
Old Jerry Bear. So we lose the divisional round there as well. Falling to New Orleans Saints, which are we beat them. We beat them in the wild card, and we lose to Washington. And let me just say something. In both of these playoff series I've highlighted so far, the team that's beat us, and you'll see this in the history of the Falcons, has gone on to the Super Bowl. In Dallas's case, they lost to Pittsburgh in 78. But in 91, Washington goes on to beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl. So we lose to this eventual Super Bowl champs. We lose in great fashion, 24-7 in the divisional round. So, just pretty close score there.
We love to give momentum to someone else.
Oh, yeah.
And then they carry on. Oh, we do this again, too, later against the Giants and Eli Manning. So it's good that you said that. We're going to fast forward a little bit more because it's these first 40 years of Falcons history. It's just a lot of losing. The furthest it's really bad. The furthest we make it in the first 40 years actually is to the Super Bowl in 1998. So 32 years after the creation.
One thing I want to point out is that's what Dan Reeves is head coach.
Yes. This is the Dirty Bird.
Yeah, rest in peace. But before Dan Reeves and after Jerry Glanville, none other than Hawaii legend June Jones was our head coach. Shout out Rick for that one. Just want to point that out. A lot of people forget June Jones was the Falcons head coach.
And he took us to the playoffs.
He did.
Anyway,
sorry. Go back.
No, you're good. Can't say much. I will say this about the 1998 Atlanta Falcons. I kind of want to dive into this because it's kind of cool. So this would be considered the most blessed season in the Falcons history. And actually, still to this day, is the most winning season the Falcons have ever had. Yeah. We went 14-2 that year, finishing first in our division. We did lose the Super Bowl, like I said. The cool part,
a phenomenal Broncos team.
Oh yeah, to a phenomenal team.
John Elway and TD.
The really cool part about that year too was we ranked top 10 in every statistic category you can. So we ranked 4th in points per game, 7th in yards, fourth in defensive points allowed per game, 8th in defensive yards allowed. We were first in turnovers that year. So that's
awesome.
That's where the dirty bird kind of comes from.
Yeah.
And then we also were 3rd in points plus minus for the year and 7th in yards plus minus. So like, I'm just a great season altogether. However, though, we take a dive after that. We lose the Super Bowl that year. And then, so we lose the Super Bowl to Denver. We lose 34-19. Not a good one. Not a good loss. And then
terrible.
Not terrible.
15 points.
But actually, the horrible part is Anderson gets hurt. Our running back gets hurt in the I don't know if it was during the season or during the preseason of the next year, but we actually go 5-11 the following year and do not make the playoffs. And then to finish Dan Reeves' career in Atlanta, we end up going a season after that 4-12, 7-9, and then in his final full year, we go 9-6. We make it back to the.
Now, correct if I'm wrong. After the 4-12 year, was that when we traded? No, it wouldn't have been.
No, we traded.
Michael Vick? When did we trade?
We got Michael Vick in 2002. So
okay.
2001, we go 7-9. I mean, we feel like we're on the cusp. We're really not, though. If you look at that team, our defense are just horrid. So whatever happened from 98 to the very next season, our defense went from number 1 in takeaways to 31st in takeaways. So the defense really collapses. They've said for years it was hard to bring free agents into this city. Hopefully I think it's been changing in recent years, but especially in football, it's been hard for us. If you look at Michael Vick in his first year he finished as our most valuable player that year. He also took us to the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. So 2002 playoffs, the old Green Bay Packers suffered their first home playoff loss in franchise history. 2002. You had to get to 2002 to get to the Packers' first home playoff loss in their history.
That's crazy.
You get to 2002 and the Falcons haven't even won a Super Bowl yet.
Look at some of those names there too. That's like the first year of work done, I guess.
Yes. No, it was you had Michael Vick and Work Done, who were I think they're the first tandem in NFL history to go rush for 1,000 yards. I don't know if it was that season. I think it was a couple of seasons later. I think it was 2004.
Algie Crumpler,
if I'm not mistaken.
And Brian Finneran.
Oh yes.
You know what's crazy too is
TJ Duckett in there as well. Let's not forget about old Vic Duckett.
They also had Crumpler, old Algie baby. Did you say that?
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Oh my bad. Yeah, I was.
No, you're good.
And they also had Crumpler.
They did.
Wait,
I don't think we touched.
Wait, did you mention Crumpler?
They did have Algie Crumpler. Yeah,
the old Crumpler. I barely know her.
Oh God.
But yeah. But if you look at those seasons, we do go to the playoffs in 2004. We lose the conference championship to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if you could talk to any recent Falcons fan, the Philadelphia Eagles have kind of been a thorn in our side. Like I can't remember in my lifetime where we've handily beat the Eagles. It's always been a tough game. We typically lose, I feel like, in big games against them. It's very frustrating. And I remember back in those days, it was Vic versus McNabb. It was like the big deal. It was them two stud quarterbacks. McNabb's obviously better. Kind
of makes me feel similar to like the Cardinals or the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, how they've been a thorn in the Braves side for years and years.
Until
like,
recently.
Matching up in the playoffs.
Yes.
Until the last few years. But yes, definitely a pain to see them come up in the playoffs.
One thing, just looking at this list that you got here, Blake, I wanted to point out the gap year quarterback between Michael Vick and Matt Ryan. None other than Oregon legend Joey Harrington.
Yeah, Joey Harrington. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know this, I don't know if you've been living in a rock, but in 2006, Vic does become the first quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards. That was the season him and Work Done both rushed for 1,000 yards. However, we finished 7-9 and we missed the playoffs. And then
that's
in August. Yeah, it's very embarrassing. And then the worst part was our defense. If you look again at the 2006, our defense ranked, where is that at? 22nd in yards, 15 in points. That's the worst. Our offense actually struggled to score. We are 12th in yards and 25th in points.
That is so crazy.
You got to put the ball in the end zone, man.
Do.
And I don't know. My heart goes out to all of is your dad a Falcons fan, guys?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So my heart goes out to like my dad, your dad, and all of these Falcons fans who have been rooting for the Falcons since the beginning. Cause it's just tough, just tough. And it gets worse. You finally feel like, so if you look at the history of the Falcons, like I said earlier, in our first 20 so years, you make the playoffs 3 times. But then since 91, you've made the playoffs now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So that's 5 times in 15 years. It's way better than the first 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
And the worst part is you feel like things are going right. And then the 2007 suspension comes. So right before season starts in August 2007, hours after Vic pleaded guilty to federal charges for dogfighting, the NFL suspended him indefinitely without pay.
Yep.
So like you said, we did that gap here. But then the craziest thing happens. We hire Thomas Dimitroff from the Patriots, and we bring him in. And what does he do? He hires Mike Smith. He signs Michael Turner. He drafts Matt Ryan in the first round. He also drafts Sam Baker in the first round, or in that draft. Who was great. You could argue there was better players he could have taken, but great. And honestly, if you will, guys, will you click those 2 links, the Dimitroff's draft picks and the TD's worst decisions, just so you can start scrolling through the draft picks, because as much as Thomas Dimitroff really did, I will give him credit. 2008 was the beginning of what I consider like really when I got excited about the Falcons, because prior to that I had a Mike Vick jersey as a kid, but like you hadn't have much to root for.
Yeah,
there wasn't much to root for. 2008 and Matt Ryan's first year, we go 11-5. We lose the wild card, but I mean we're ecstatic. I mean, we haven't been good, and we haven't been good. Our quarterback of the past was just out because of suspension.
Right.
And so you get Michael Turner signed, and Michael Turner in 2009, which we don't make the playoffs. We go 9-7 and don't make the playoffs. It's one of those weird years where you don't make it. I think he was like in the MVP conversation that year. He goes to the Pro Bowl, has an incredible year. What a great signing. We got him from the Chargers, who the Chargers just have a great history of.
He was the backup to LT, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Backup to LT. So
it's tough.
It is tough. It's a tough, and the weird part too is if you look at the Chargers, even now, they have great running backs. They always do, and their backups are always kind of someone you think would.
Fun fact: do you know who else played on that Chargers team with Michael Turner and LT?
Who?
Drew Brees.
Oh, he did.
Oh, wow. People don't remember that, but
you're 100% right.
Yeah, Drew Brees. Anyway, go ahead.
No, you're good. So the Falcons start to get momentum. We go to the playoffs, like I said, in 2008. We don't make it in 2009, but however, 2009 is our first back-to-back winning season in franchise history.
Never happened before.
Never happened. 42 years of football.
That's fucking insane.
It was our 43rd season in football. Is the first time we have back-to-back winning seasons.
Crazy.
Under Mike Smith, we go to playoffs 4 out of his first 5 years. All 4 years, the Falcons lost to the team that either won the Super Bowl or lost in the Super Bowl. So like I was saying earlier, all 4 of those the teams we played, I'm pretty sure are the Giants, who went on to win. I have it right here. I don't know why I'm acting like I don't. Let me see.
While you're looking that up, I just want to interject that
you're good.
Mike Smith, I think that a lot of people only remember how he left Atlanta,
which wasn't good.
The most sustained success that any coach has ever had in our franchise history, and you can't really say that he's not the best coach.
He is.
Success-wise, he's the best coach in the entire franchise.
I have to add to that too. He came in on the tail of Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I skipped over that.
Yes,
because that is the most Blursed shit.
Oh, you're so right.
The Falcons' history.
So so that's 2006. That's also or 2007. Sorry. So that's right after Mike Vick gets suspended. We hire Petrino, who's actually coming off a really good college football momentum. He's like, he's going to make the jump. It was kind of I don't know if it was an exciting hire at the time. I don't know.
Oh, it was. It was. He left Louisville, and he had Louisville like a top 10 program at the time.
Right. And so, wait, does he go back to Louisville?
No, he went to Arkansas.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
And made them a top 10 program.
I thought it was the opposite.
How many weeks into the season did he even make it? Like
8, I think.
8. And he got caught cheating with a ball girl or something like that.
Well, that was at Arkansas, I think.
That was that.
So, because that's that hilarious pic of him in that fucking neck brace because he wrecked his motorcycle with her on the back.
Yes, with the woman that he was cheating on his wife.
Yes. So maybe we dodged a bullet there, but he quit on the Falcons halfway through the season. Quit on the Falcons, and then so I forgot that. I'm glad you brought that up. So
piece of shit human, great college football coach, terrible NFL coach.
But at least it led to Mike Smith coming in and having a little bit of sustained success.
Yes.
And so what I was looking up earlier, so in 08-09, our first year of Mike Smith, we lose to Arizona in the wild card, 30-24. Great game. Arizona goes on to lose the Super Bowl to Pittsburgh, if y'all remember, on that Hines Ward catch at the very end, something really exciting. So it took
that was a Kurt Warner led team, right?
The Arizona, yes.
Yeah,
exactly. So we lose to them barely, 30-24, not a bad loss in the wild card. And 2010, 2011 season, we go on to lose to Green Bay in the divisional round. So this one actually hurt me, I remember, because we went 10-6. We went 10-6. We lose 31-25. Not a good loss. I remember watching this game at a friend's house. It was over by halftime. Like that score 31-25 looks a lot closer. No, wait, sorry. I'm saying it wrong. It's 48-21. Sorry. The final score.
I was about to say 30. Yeah. 31-25 seems like a close game.
No, it was 48-21. It was over at halftime.
I got you.
Green Bay went on to beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl 31-25. So that was the close game.
Right.
And the very next season, we go 13-3. No, sorry. I'm all over the place.
We went 13-3 in 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So no. We went 13. Yeah, we did. And we went.
That's when we had the first round bye. And I think
we lost the conference championship to San Francisco.
Yeah. The old Kaepernick.
Yeah. And they go on to lose the Super Bowl 34-31. I did skip over in 11-12, which we go 10-6 that year. So I'm sorry. It was 11-5, 13-3, 10-6, 13-3.
Yeah.
And the year we went 10-6, which is 2011, and we lose to the Giants. They beat us 24-2 in the wild card, and they go on to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, which is another one of those Achilles heels we had in our history.
Like Hayden said, love giving somebody momentum.
Yeah, and honestly, the Giants team had a lot of momentum coming in. If you remember that, I think
they were 8-8. I think.
Yeah, they were. Both times Eli Manning won the Super Bowl, he finished 8-8. So and he beat the Patriots. So he knows something that we don't. If we're going to be honest,
you got to get hot at the right time.
Exactly.
That is all that matters. If you make the playoffs, anything can happen. If you start getting some momentum, and maybe that's what's gone wrong with the Falcons. They just didn't sustain the fire long enough. Get to the clinching moment.
No, you're right. And I think that is something under Mike Smith that we did see. I think the year that one of the years we won 13 games, I think at one point we were 12-0 or 11-0, like it was 10-0 or something. Like we had a really good beginning of the season. We fizzled out, and something that we did do under Dan Quinn, which we're about to get to. So after Mike Smith's fired, we hired Dan Quinn. His first year, which sucks. Mike Smith, let me just say this real quick. Mike Smith finishes his tenure with Atlanta with a 4-12. After we go 13-3.
Yeah, that was the Steven Jackson year.
That was when we brought in Steven, exactly. And our defense was horrid. Our offense was horrid. The very next year, we go 6-10. Our offense was great. Defense horrid again, though.
And that was the crazy year that even though we were 6-10, we played Carolina in the division was so bad that year that both us and Carolina were 6-9 going into the last game, and the winner went to the playoffs as the wild card team. Or no, sorry, not as the division winner, because we were so bad as a division.
Wow.
That 7-9 won the division, and I remember Carolina just beat the shit out of us that game.
But remember also the year that Carolina was undefeated, we beat them in one of the last games of the season.
Oh yeah, they were 15-1 year.
Yeah, 15-1 year. We were the one. Yep. And then the Broncos going to beat them in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, Cam didn't want it bad enough.
He didn't want it bad enough, and he did it.
Cam.
So Quinn's first year we go 8-8. His second year we go 11-5, and just like you were saying, we got hot at the right moment. Not that we didn't have a great year, but the last half of that season, our defense. So here, I'll just name some of the scores in the first half of the season. The first half of the season, we lose our first game 31-24. Then we lose the next game 35-28. We win the next one 45-32. 48-33. And this offense is putting up record numbers. This is the greatest show on turf, like 2.0.
Oh, yeah, it was.
This was our iteration of the greatest show on turf. We hit back-to-back hard losses against Seattle and the San Diego Chargers, one being in overtime, 26-24 loss and a 30-33 loss. Like really close games. But it was the bye week in week 11. Also, in that year, same year, we lose to Philadelphia 24-15. I don't know what it is about that team.
Yeah.
But the bye week, our defense catches fire. We end up finishing the year with our defense finishing. They did not finish the year in the top 10, but they were a top 10 defense for the rest of the year. I mean, it really propelled us into the playoffs. And the playoffs were honestly killing teams. We beat Seattle in the divisional round 36-20. We beat Green Bay in the conference championship, and this felt so good. It was redemption, 44-21. Just smoked them.
Right.
And in the Super Bowl, we don't have to talk about it. We all know what happened.
To take away a bit from the Super Bowl, let's talk about when we played Hayden's Packers. Um, 44-21 is a bit flattering to the Packers. It was a much worse
it was
blowout.
bad.
No,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was bad.
If y'all remember, at halftime, I believe the score was 31-0.
And the same was for the Seattle game too. We were up a
Oh,
ton
yeah,
at
we beat the-
halftime.
I believe we sacked Russ for a safety in his own end zone on like his first drive, and that was pretty much over after that.
Yeah, so both of those games were over at halftime, and then at this point, you were what?
We were out to a huge lead, or the Falcons were out to a huge lead in Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah, man. It might have been the biggest lead in Super Bowl history.
Yeah,
gotta
all
talk
three
about it a little
playoffs
bit.
games should have been over at halftime.
They are red hot in the playoffs. This is what you want. This is what we've waited for
Yes.
50 years.
In the first half, you go up 28-3. 28-3. That's the most blessed score in Super Bowl history. If you're the fan of the win of the team that's up 28-3 at halftime, you can't be mad about that. You never
However,
can be.
It turned into the most Blursed score.
Cursed. We can just say what it is. It's cursed. It was
That's
blessed
straight
and then
cursed.
cursed, becoming Blursed. It was a cursed score. We lose 34-28. There's a lot of fingers we can point at this game. And today's episode is not about that. But what it is about is the blessed and the curse of the Falcons and how these last 20 years may have been blessed, but we've had the most cursed moment. I think it's the most cursed moment in the whole NFL history. The fact that
perhaps sports
you have
history.
the biggest collapse. And I stand by this. Gray and I had a conversation recently about this. We always shout out Gray for our advanced analytics. He's not a Falcons fan, but he did agree with me here. If you play that game 10 times against the Patriots, the Falcons probably win that 8 out of 10 times. We were the better team.
Yeah.
If not 10,
if not 9. Yeah, it's just the one fucking time.
Another layer to the curse part of this is the amount of success the Patriots have had the last 20 years at that point.
Yeah,
well, all Boston sports.
And the lack of success that all of Atlanta had. And so, like, you know, everybody's probably pulling for the Falcons, like, outside of Patriots fans, because everybody's sick of seeing Tom Brady at that point. So that's just another tier of cursed.
And to that point, if anyone's listening, or if anyone that's listening knows somebody that is a Boston sports fan in their 20s, and you ever hear them complain about something sports related, tell them to shut the hell up.
Yes.
And if you are that person, you need to reflect on what you're about to say and then don't say it. Okay. I mean, that's just, you're the most blessed town over in this millennia.
I mean, if we look back in the history of sports, I think Boston ranks up there, not in football. I know New England, like since Belichick and Brady came there, that was their, merge success. But if you look at the Boston Celtics, the Bruins, even the Red Sox, all of these teams have had sustained success. So if you want to look at a city that could never have a Blursed podcast, it's Boston. They don't need one. They need a blessed one. You can have a blessed podcast and talk about how all you do is win. Because we don't know what that's like.
They're probably all Duke fans in college basketball too. Just
so maybe in a future episode we'll go deep dive, and we'll have a whole episode about how Blursed that Super Bowl really was, and talk about all how the game played out, the mistakes that were made, and how things could change and what it might look like. Because here's what happens right after you lose that game, and I know I'm one of the Falcons fans that are guilty of this. I don't see how you can fire Dan Quinn there. You can't. His second season takes you to the Super Bowl. You lose in a fashion where now hindsight looking back is like, it's unexcusable how you lose that game.
Yeah. Hindsight being 2020, honestly should have fired him.
But right
in the moment though, can't do it.
You can't do it in the moment. And the worst part about it is you lose Shanahan, which you're not going to fire your coach or your offensive coordinator who just refused to call a running play in the second half. So you're not going to do that. But you know what else you lose in that moment? You lose wow, my brain goes lost. You lose the
classic Blake.
Our offensive minds of the LaFleur brothers. You had both of them. You have the Packers head coach.
Matt LaFleur was the quarterback's coach that year,
and you now have the Jets offensive coordinator is the other one. Yeah. So you had two of them on your staff, and you know what you do? You go out and hire Steve Sarkisian to be your offensive coordinator. Just promote one of these guys. Promote one of these guys. Boy. Instead of promoting LaFleur, he goes off to San Francisco. He becomes I think he goes on to be their wide receivers coach. Mike LaFleur did. And Matt LaFleur goes to, where did he go? He goes on to the Packers and becomes their head coach. He goes to the Rams, and then goes to the Titans, and then becomes the head coach of the Packers.
And then, of course, Shanahan has turned around the 49ers.
for sure. And I don't know
somehow winning with Jimmy G at the helm.
I don't know if he'll ever win the big game because, like that Super Bowl loss, he's that coach who can't get out of his own way. Like he thinks he knows more than anyone in the room.
But I also respect it because I think he might.
He might. But the fact that we had the oversight of not hiring one of the Floor brothers who've both been very successful now in their offenses, and we go into Sarkisian, and then not only after Sarkisian stinks for us, we go out and hire one of our old coaches again, bringing back Dirk Cutter again for a run our offense. Just boneheaded, dumb hiring. And finally, at the end of the cursed nightmare that was the very next season, we go to the playoffs again. We lose the Eagles again. The Eagles beat us. They go in to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Oh, could we talk about how we lost to the Eagles that year?
Yes, I'm pretty sure Julio Jones drops a catch.
He did. He did.
And so,
he sure did.
And that actually, guys, is basically the bow on the end of Dan Quinn's era here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes 7-9 his last 2 seasons. And in his final season, he gets fired midway through the season. They go 4-12. And that brings you to today, where you bring in Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
As we look at Arthur Smith this last year, let's be honest, there's no talent. There is no talent on this team besides Matt Ryan. And you Calvin Ridley, who he plays 5 games, and you know what happens there.
I feel bad for a coach like that has worked through so much adversity to get where he is.
Yes.
Son of
coming
a
from the
billionaire.
bottom, Art Smith.
No, you're 100% right. He is son of the owner of FedEx, I believe.
Yes, that is correct.
Doesn't mean
blue collar guy, somebody Atlanta
real
loves.
blue collar.
Doesn't mean you're not going to.
Can really relate to the folks here in Atlanta and Georgia as a whole.
I mean, I'm not going to.
I've heard that he met Arthur Blank at brunch. Is that true?
I'm sure he met him brunch over on some nice beach somewhere. I'm sure somewhere. I have no idea how they met. Let me just say this about Art Smith, though, as we look at last season. We finished middle of the road in a lot of our stats. Very bad on defense. We have Dan Pease right now, who I believe in. I believe good things will happen. But as we look to the future, I want to look into this year's season. So we look at the 2022 Atlanta Falcons. Sorry, this is my segue now. So that was the end of the curse and the Blursed, and
that was the Blursed of the week.
That was the Blursed of the week. The Atlanta Falcons, and
yes,
God, they're mainly just cursed. It's mainly cursed. There's been some blessed moments. Will we get back to blessedness? I don't know. Only time will tell. Hopefully.
It's going to take one more rebuild, but we'll get there.
I sure hope not. I sure hope Art Smith's the next Mike Smith. Maybe the Smith name's a lucky. No. So let me get into that. So Falcons right now, by Vegas Insider, are projected to win 4.5 games,
and that's generous. But yeah, good. But I think good.
But I actually think I would take the over on that, if we're going to be completely honest. And I'll mention why. Last year we overperformed and we won more games than we should have. I think we can do the same this year. Also, there's that age-old saying, any given Sunday.
That's true. It is. There's another age-old saying of regression to the mean.
There is.
I think we're destined for that.
But maybe what you could look at too, though, is maybe we're just a good coach team winning close ball games, which is something you got to do in the NFL. Because most games in the NFL come down to the last score. Not always.
As negative as I am with Art Smith, I would be crazy to fault him for winning games. That is his job.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But what's the difference? We had a 10-year veteran at quarterback.
Yes.
10 plus year veteran at quarterback at that point, right?
14.
Matt
Ryan.
Yeah,
14. Yeah, but
that makes a difference, especially in close games. That's why Tom Brady does what he does. He can close out a game.
That's a great point.
He knows the pacing. He knows exactly what he's got to do. And Matt Ryan's very good at that as well. And so you're going from having Matt Ryan to
Marcus Mariota.
No, I 100% agree.
I think that's why you're going to see a downtick in those close games.
That's a great point, Hayden.
Well,
I had not thought of that.
Let me also say, though, the whole roster as a whole, talent-wise, has gone up. Like it has. Our team this year is more talented than last year.
It was Casey Hayward that we signed. That's probably who I'm most excited about.
Our second best signing actually retired today.
Yeah, he did. That's right. More Blursed.
So Eddie Goldman. So this is someone I was very excited about.
God.
So we needed our last signing. We really needed this offseason was to sew up that final hole for defensive tackles. We get Eddie Goldman, 28-year-old out of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, he was in his 6th year.
Who was a great defensive tackle. Is he a star? No. Is he a stud? No. But
he was going to step in and start next to Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, which would have been very exciting. Like I think our defensive line actually would have been something that worth watching for once, which it hasn't been in since John Abraham.
Yeah, exactly.
And he retired today. I don't know if he came in and saw that he was working with the Falcons. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. He got signed and he came in. He's like, oh
I
god.
think I'd rather
He
just
saw
retire.
Mariota throw a pass and he's like, oh boy, I'm not feeling good.
Yeah,
His legs hurting. I think that's gonna be it. Stick a fork in me.
He probably saw
Take
too,
me out to pasture. This is over.
Oh no, I'm with
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no telling why. Maybe he realized that getting too much head trauma is not a good thing, and he's 28, he's made a lot of money. It's time to call it quits. I don't know. I'm upset about it, but if you're ready to retire from football, if your heart's not in it, don't play. Now, if he comes out of retirement next year, I'm gonna be really confused because he didn't even play for us. He could have signed anywhere. He chose Atlanta to sign with, so he could have signed anywhere. So maybe he wasn't thinking about playing this year, anyways. Who knows? I will say something else too. We were talking about last year's schedule compared to this year's schedule. Last year's schedule was very easy, actually. A lot of our wins against bad teams. We have a really hard schedule this year. I'm not saying we're going to win more games this year than last year. I just think we can. I think we could win 5 games. I don't think that's. I think 5 games we could be in the ballpark to win 5 games. Yeah, I could see us going 5-12, and I'm not going to be mad about that. We're still in the middle of this rebuild. We have. Trading Matt Ryan, you had to. You're swallowing the cap, the largest cap, or was it called?
The cap,
dead
hit?
cap, dead cap,
or the dead cap,
yeah, in NFL history. But here's the problem: Thomas Dimitrov put you in this mess. He put us in this mess to finish his career by a bunch of horrible signings. They gave Julio Jones an extension before he just after he just had an extension.
I just want to say, as critical as I've been of Arthur Smith, I can't say anything bad about Terry Fontenot. I mean, he walked into an awful situation to try and rebuild. And I mean, I'm not going to go as far into your optimism and say great, but I think that he's done he hasn't done anything other than listen to Ryan Pace a little too much.
No,
he hired Ryan Pace as his
such
assistant
a fake
GM.
Narrative, though.
Dude, we signed 6 Bears players.
Yeah, but none of these players, besides Damian Williams, actually going to put meaningful. They're all depth guys. We have no cap.
You said they're deaf guys? I don't think there are that many that are hearing impaired.
Depth. They're part of our depth.
I see.
We have no cap space to spend money on. Our big signings were Casey Hayward, like you said. We had some nice signings, but when you have no money, you got to trust Pace, who you brought in, that know some guys hey, these are good character guys that can come help fill your.
We could sign some of these Bears players that got cut.
They didn't get cut. Their contract.
I'm kidding. God. All right.
I just think there's a nasty narrative on Twitter about how the Bears are in our front office, but it's and honestly, what are we supposed to do? We have no money. What do you want us to do? Go sign all the best players?
I
know you get it. It's just there's a lot of frustrating where people are I just don't know why we're signing these players. It's who are we supposed to sign?
Yeah, no, we can't go out and sign a splashy free agent. No,
we have $0. And so a tweet I saw that made me want to have this segment was the Braves have the best bill. Oh, this is by our boy at Scott 1028. Someone I follow Hawks Twitter. He's a really big Hawks fan. Also a Braves fan. He said the Braves have the best infield in baseball. The Hawks have the best backcourt in basketball. And the Falcons, he left it blank and said, good morning, y'all.
And he was and the Falcons, good morning.
I actually pat myself on the back. Had the top reply here. I said, have the tallest receivers in football.
Hey, there it is.
And it's true.
That is the narrative.
It is the narrative. So let me highlight this Falcons 2022 offense. We have at the quarterback position. This is obviously our biggest downgrade. We have Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Fun fact, though, Marcus Mariota came out today as the 32nd most valuable player to a team, according to some Pro Football Focus or something on based on how many wins he may give us, something like that. I don't know where they got that, but 32nd highest in the NFL. We'll see. Time will tell.
The worst team's best player.
Yeah, but this also compared to well, I don't think he's our best player either. I think Kyle Pitts might be better.
No, I just meant if you look at the numbers, there's 32 teams and he's the 32nd.
Yes, but there was receivers and stuff on this list too. It wasn't just quarterbacks.
No, I got you. I'm just saying, math.
And he's also in an open battle with Desmond Ridder. There is could win this. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was weird to see. Our running back room is Cordell Patterson again, Damian Williams, which I think is a huge signing from the Bears. I know we got him for cheap. I think he's a great utility knife kind of running back player. And then Tyler Algier from BYU. He's supposed to be our bell cow of the future. We got in the 5th round from BYU. We'll dive into a little bit more of his stats in just a second. Our wide receiver room, completely different from last year. No more do we have Calvin Ridley, no more Russell Gage. Actually, the only wide receiver we're bringing back besides Frank Darby, who I don't think will play.
OZ.
OZ. So Zacchaeus, he's going to be our starting slot receiver. He should be our starting slot receiver this year. Drake London will be our starting as an X, the outside receiver.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be starting an X receiver. Alden Tate will be his backup. Brian Edwards will be our starting Y. And Demir Bird is his backup. So the cool thing is you see some of these names on here. Alden Tate, Demir Bird, Geronimo Allison will be our backup slot receiver.
Right.
These are receivers that all came from somewhere else that just couldn't find a home where they're at, never made a big splash. Maybe they come here and put up some numbers. We're not.
These are all cheap receivers that never really had a good season.
But you know what else? You know what else they have in common, though?
If I missed it, did you say Tajay Sharp yet?
No.
Are we keeping him?
I don't think we have him anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure.
And then our tight ends are Kyle Pitts and Anthony Frisker we got him from Tennessee. There could be a O-line shakeup. So we have Jake Matthews, obviously, he's going to be our left tackle. Jalen Mayfield, who started left guard last year after an injury. Unfortunately, he did. I will say this: he wasn't supposed to start. He wasn't supposed to. He wasn't even supposed to play left guard. He got drafted.
You could see it on the field.
Players rarely get injured in football too. So
yeah, right. So how could they have known?
How can you prepare for that to happen on the offensive line, right?
To get hurt.
Yeah.
That's never happened. Yeah,
y'all make me so upset. We did actually draft Justin Schaefer though. Go Dogs! As a kind of a slot lineman. Maybe he comes out and starts. What I actually would love to see is if Caleb McGarry. He actually came into the offseason workouts actually looking fit. Maybe he's good. I doubt it. He's been awful the whole time he's been here. Maybe we move Jalen Mayfield over to right tackle and Justin Schaefer actually gets the start at left guard.
What about Lindstrom at right guard?
Oh, he's incredible.
Yeah. Did you guys know that Lindstrom, per Pro Football Focus, he graded out as the highest, I believe, gave up the least amount of sacks in his position? Which was 0.
Yeah,
the
zero
entire
sacks.
season.
I don't know how they get that because our offensive line was last year.
Awful.
Dog water.
Yeah, I think
describe it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when Matt Ryan got sacked, you could just pick one of the offensive linemen at random.
Yeah,
I mean, who was at fault.
It's hard when the center and the left guard are awful and your right tackle is awful. So you have two strong spots, but they're on different sides in a weird. It's horrible. So I'm hoping to see some action there. We do have a little bit more cap space. I think what's happening is what I heard from Terry Fontenot was we went out and signed a bunch of receivers early because right now what's really important is during the offseason workouts, you're not using pads right now. So watching these routes runs, doing all these things, it's really easy to evaluate your wide receivers, your skill position players right now. Whereas we might bring in some offensive linemen at starting training camp because you start to see cuts where we can actually go and get some players that are better than our offensive line. Like you said earlier, I think Terry Fontenot actually has a really good knowledge for this. He studied under some really good people in New Orleans.
As much as we hate to say it, shout out Gray again.
Yeah, as much he's actually not a New Orleans fan anymore. I don't know where his allegiances lie anymore.
Flaky son of a bitch.
But he's kind of like Hayden though. He follows players he likes. I mean, that's just who he is. You gotta and
Gray and I are floating out there. Maybe Blursed will bring us back into the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
Fold.
And as we're calling out friends, let's give a shout out to our friend Dylan. He actually rooted for Matt Stafford after he graduated from college. So he rooted for the Detroit Lions for years. He rooted for them during the 0-16 season, and then he gets rewarded with the Super Bowl this last year.
He does.
Shout out to you, Dylan.
Shout out, Dill.
Way to stay with Stafford. Way to get to your jerseys. So now looking forward, if we're going to dissect that offensive weaponry a little bit further, our running back Tyler Algier, he was incredible at BYU. Actually incredible. He actually played his first year. He played running back and linebacker. Did a little bit of both because they just like, can you? Yeah, they needed help in linebacker. Like, can you do this? So yeah, he played a little bit of both.
I like that. That's gritty.
It is gritty. But his sophomore and junior year is where he really blows up. He becomes a starting running back. In his sophomore year, he gets 1,100 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. And then in his junior year, he rushed for 1,600 yards and has 23 touchdowns. So just incredible last couple of years of productivity. He's 5'11", 220. So just a big bell cow. And I really do think what we were missed out on last year was with I can't even remember his name because of how upset I was, how bad he was. He signed, it was our running back we had last year. He signed with the Ravens.
It's Mike Davis, right?
Mike Davis, yes. Dude,
he was so bad.
He looked so good with Carolina. I was pretty excited, like a value pick. We talked about it last year. We were really excited
and he's from here.
Yeah.
So we thought he's coming home. He's coming off his best season ever as a pro.
And And I'll be honest, he disappointed us. He disappointed himself, though. I mean, he came out and said it after the year. He's like, this is not the season I wanted. I'm sorry to all the Atlanta fans. Like, I mean, and he won.
Did you see one of the replies to that? I am struggling. I'm frantically searching to find it.
You keep looking, but
Okay,
yes.
yeah,
So we're
go ahead.
replacing him, and he was supposed to be our bell cow last year. You get Tyler Algier in here, and I think this is actually going to help us out a lot. If you look at Cordell Patterson's stats last year, he was incredible in the first half of the year. He kind of starts falling down in the second half of the year, but he's 31 years old. Like, this is he's not in the time of his career where he should be the bell cow. And also, I would like to also illustrate Art's ability to coach.
Okay.
Cordell Patterson's played for 4 or 5 different teams. Hadn't done
Talk about
shit.
our head coach's ability to head coach.
Yes, yes, I
I
am.
fucking hope
Sick.
so.
Because, well, let me just say this. Cordell Patterson played for old Bill Belichick. And what did he do there? Not much. He's played for so many different teams. And you know what he does here? He has his first Pro Bowl season. I just want to say, like, Art Smith knows how to use his offensive weapons. You saw it when he was in Tennessee. And you're seeing it here. And I think now with even more, like, with even better skilled players, because, yes,
Right.
we do have that little hit, the quarterback. You see a big boost in all of our weapons. Because if you're looking at last year's offense, you had Mike Davis. Your starting wide receivers were Tajee Sharp and Russell Gage, Christian Blake
God,
and Frank
that's
Darby
tough.
were your other backups. You had Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst for your backup there. Like, your skilled positions were awful last year. And so what we're going to talk about is Drake London. We bring him as our first round pick this year. He's 6'4", 213. He played slot his first couple of years at USC, and they moved him outside and has his best year. Alden Tate, who's his backup, is 6'5", 228. So get even bigger. Their 40 times are 4.5 and 4.68 respectively. On the other side is Brian Edwards. This guy we got for not much from Las Vegas on a little draft pick. He's 6'3", 215, runs a 4.5. He actually has the South Carolina wide receiver receiving record, which
Really?
it's against people like Alshon Jeffrey. So he had a great, productive college career. He could just never turn it on in Las Vegas. Maybe my Arthur Smith's able to use him, not like AB. I understand that, like, he was a stud and now he's with Philadelphia, which may be another thorn in our thigh, but a big body receiver who's not afraid to get yards after catch. He knows that both Desmond and Mariota are going to struggle a little bit with accuracy. So what do? You bring in big bodies, big catching radiuses. It's harder to miss these windows is all I'm trying to say. So what do you do to help these quarterbacks out? You bring in big bodies, big windows, players who aren't afraid to make contact. Even Geronimo Allison, 6'3", 202. Like, these are big players. Our tight ends, Kyle Pitts, 6'6", 246, which runs a 4.4, which is incredible with that height and size.
That is.
Anthony Frisker, 6'2", 241. And big John Fitzpatrick, another Georgia Bulldog we brought in, 6'7".
Right.
He's 6'7". I don't think he's going to be doing much receiving. He might have a couple packages dialed up in the end zone or some crap, but he will be a blocking tight end, especially in goal line packages.
Right.
And if you're looking at our division rivals, the Panthers, Saints, and Buccaneers, I just wanted to look up what their cornerback safety situations look. The tallest player of all of these different secondaries is 6'3", Jeremy Chin, who's a strong safety for the Panthers. And then there's 3 more players, 2 in the Buccaneers and 1 for the Panthers that are 6'1". Everyone else, and then 1 for the Saints, 6'1". Everyone else is 6 foot or less. So you're talking about there's going to be massive height advantage going against a lot of your division rivals. You play each one of these teams twice. I think Panthers, even with Baker Mayfield signing, are still a beatable team. Just because of coaching, I don't believe in Matt Rule.
Maybe
I think
even more beatable now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Baker's an upgrade over Sam Darnold, if we're gonna be honest. I don't know how y'all feel about Baker Mayfield. I think he's a top 16 quarterback in the league, probably. I think he's worth starting. I didn't want him here because I don't think he's a franchise guy, but I think, and if you're in between and you need a starting quarterback, I think he's a great option. But yeah, so I think one of the things we're looking at this year, we signed up all these players to like these 1-year deals before our cap opens up. Maybe we'll bring some back players like we did with CPE this year. But I think what we went for were big physical players, aren't afraid to do the dirty work, aren't afraid to block. We were horrible running last year. And these are also guys that can go out and you put the ball up, they're going to try to catch it. Will they catch it every time? I mean, we're going to find out this year. We'll see. But dude,
no.
are they going to be bigger than the other guys on the other side of the field? Yes, every time. Can we throw the ball up? Hopefully the hands come, people score touchdowns. I wanted to ask y'all whether I don't think we'll have a winning season this year. I don't think we'll make the playoffs.
I agree.
But what would you
tough
consider
schedule.
a win for the offense this year? How many touchdowns does Pitts have to have? He had 1 last year. I know we talked about it. How many touchdowns does he need to have for it to be a win this year for him?
I'd say at least one on American soil would be a good start, and then which he didn't have last year. But no, in all seriousness, I think if he scores like 5 or 6 touchdowns,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I would love double digits from him. Like I would love 10 from Pitts. It doesn't happen too much in the I looked it up. It doesn't happen too often. Like 10 touchdowns
Right.
is a ton of touchdowns when it comes to receiving.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't had that. I think Calvin Ridley had our bad last season where we had a wide receiver do that. I think he had 13. Julio
Yeah.
Jones was never known for his touchdowns.
Oh, the man
especially
was
in the latter
allergic to pay dirt.
especially in the last half of his years in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I think Pitts, you got to. I agree with you. I want 7 or more, but I think you got to aim for 10 for it to be a big win for him and to show that you made a right pick last year. Now, don't get me wrong. If he has 1,300 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns, I'm not going to be mad about that. I can't be mad about that.
I agree with 10 touchdowns as well. That's the first thing that came to mind. Just especially since he only had 1 last year and had a pretty successful season, you kind of expect to see the opposite end, so that'll average out a little bit.
Yes, regress to the mean, kind of like you said earlier, Aaron.
Right.
Exactly.
Also, I think London. How many touchdowns do you think he has? I know he's gonna be a rookie. It's the wide receiver is considered a hard position, but Jamar Chase comes out here and puts up like MVP numbers.
Yeah, I mean that is a tough one to try to gauge with his rookie year, but I don't know if he has. I mean, I'm going to stick with that same number with him too. I think
that's
5
fair.
or 6.
5 was the number I was looking at. If you
Yeah.
got 5 touchdowns, I think what's cool about this offense is that we haven't had in years. We had Tulio. What was that guy's name? Toliolo.
Levine Toilolo.
Yeah, Levine Toliolo, 6'8", tight end who can never score a touchdown.
And if you guys remember, one of the worst depth issues I've ever seen a team have to deal with, it was still, I think, during the.
I think it's
the
Dan
Mike-
Quinn.
It was either Mike Smith or Dan Quinn, but it was either one of the bad Mike Smith years, if not. But anyway, our O line was so riddled with injuries that
yes,
we lost our last
This was Mike
tackle.
Smith.
Yeah, we lost our last tackle in a game, and we had to put Levine Toilolo at tackle.
Yeah, which is like he's 6'8", but he's like 260.
He's skinny as hell. Yeah.
Ooh.
He but what I'll say is we're bringing all these big guys. I think our red zone offense has to see a boost this year. It's something we struggled with last year. If you're looking at our numbers last year, here's our ranks offensively. We were 25th in turnovers, not good. 27th in fumbles lost. We were 28th in first downs, 29 in yards, 26 in points forced. Where we did a little bit better at was we were 16th in passing yards, but only 25th in touchdowns. We were 21st in interceptions, which is pretty good, Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Rushing, we were 31 in yards, so second worst rushing team, 27th in touchdowns. We just weren't a threat on either side. I will say our turnover percentage was one of the lowest at 5th, which was pretty good. But besides that, we were almost 20th or lower on every meaningful statistical stat. So with that being said, and we'll dive into the defense maybe next week or the week next before we get into the season, is that it's been hard for us to not to show growth in some of these categories. Wins, like you said, we might regress a little bit. We may go to 5, 6, even 4. We could. I think we'll get more than 4 though. But I think statistically, you're going to see better stats. You're going to see better numbers overall. And I think something that Art Smith tried to instill last year and is going to continue to try to instill is that, and he says all the right things as a coach, is that we want to instill a winning culture. When Dan Quinn was here, I don't feel like we had that. It felt very loosey-goosey. Art Smith is very, I would say, strong, determined, and he wants to have that winning culture. And so I don't know if we win those games this year, but I think we're going to have players who want to give it their all. And a lot of players are out there on 1-year prove-it contracts. Like, what can you do? Not just for us, but for other teams too.
I agree with that part. Yeah, for sure. And I hope that is the case.
Hugh Jackson really wanted to establish a winning tradition for the Browns as well. Didn't happen.
Yeah, but they kept him way longer than they should have.
And
this is Art Smith's second year.
I'm not saying Art Smith is on that trajectory at all, but I will say I don't know how you're so optimistic about the offense when the most important position maybe to a team in all of sports was majorly downgraded from Matt Ryan to we don't even know who yet.
I'm optimistic because of what I just
or a former top overall pick or number. Wasn't he like drafted 2?
He was, I think it was 2
overall?
behind Jameis Winston. Yeah. I mean, he was the second quarterback in that draft.
That hasn't amounted to anything. I just don't know how you can be optimistic because, like, you're talking about red zone stats. Like,
I think I'm optimistic because of this.
Mariota's going to turn the ball over in the red zone. I'm pretty sure.
I'm optimistic because of this. As a fan of sports teams, it's always more stressful when your team's good. It always is because you have expectations of your team. Like this year for the Hawks,
Yeah.
I was so disappointed / stressed watching them this year. The playoffs were miserable. Watching them get gentleman sweep by the Heat, it's not fun. Going into this Falcons season, and not like last Falcons season, because last season you didn't know. You still had Matt Ryan. You had some question marks. This year going into season, you know what you're going to be. You're not a playoff team. You're not going to win. You're not even going to win probably 7 games. So what you're doing is you're playing with house money. You look at our statistics last year, they were awful all around the board. I think we can improve statistically on a lot of stats. I don't think maybe we don't have Matt Ryan's numbers out there, but I think rushing the ball, we're going to have better numbers. I think our receivers are going to have better yards. I think we're going to have more touchdowns coming from receivers. I think you're going to see us in games against bad opponents. I think you might see us actually win by more than one score, where last year, I think of our 6 wins or whatever, when he wins, 5 of them came in a 1 possession game. And I think also this year against these good teams, it won't be like last year where we got destroyed. I mean, we actually got destroyed last year by every good team we played. It wasn't even close. I mean, Dallas Cowboys beat us by double digits, and by double digits, I mean like 20 plus points. A lot of teams did that to us last year, the good ones. I think this year you're going to see us put up fights. Do we win all these close games at the end? I don't know. But do I think we can be more competitive? Yes. I think we're having a more exciting brand of football this year.
Yeah. Wow. By the way, I just want to point out, I did find that tweet from Mike Davis. He said, Mike Davis said, when I say this shit hurt, it really hurt. All I wanted to do was put on for my family and my city, and I had the worst year of my life. My teammates, it hurt, man, because I let y'all down. I messed up too much this year. I own up to everything. And one of the guys said, yeah, man, thanks for owning up to it. You really were dog shit.
And the worst part is, like, he's actually trying to, like, say, this is on me, guys. Like, he's owning up. Unlike Devontae Freeman, who after
there were a bunch of people that were positive, that gave him a positive response. But that, of course, was the one that I zeroed in on.
And can we just say how it parallels to the guy who he is compared to the guy who Devontae Freeman was? Devontae Freeman, after we lose that Super Bowl to the Patriots, where he misses a key block in that game, he goes on to say he should be the Super Bowl MVP. If we would have won that game, he would have been it. After he misses a key block that leads to a sack, that leads to us turning over the ball.
No, I'll give you that. Mike Davis, yeah. I mean,
stand-up guy, horrible last year. Absolutely horrible.
Just awful.
And so that's not to bring up the Super Bowl for Devonta Freeman.
Yeah, that too.
No, I'm okay.
Bring it up. But
anyway.
All right. Well, boys, let's any last items you want to leave the audience with this week as we are finishing out?
I do have a couple. I just wanted to say this because I am the basketball guy and I haven't mentioned it. DeAndre Ayton did get re-signed by the Suns after the Pacers offered him a 4-year, $33.25 million a year deal. So they matched this qualifying offer, which means DeAndre Ayton will be on the Suns until at least January. You're not allowed to trade him until January. So what happens when you let other teams decide how much you're going to pay someone? This is big news in a couple of ways. One, it means KD probably won't be able to go to the Suns, which you might see KD. The talks now are that the Miami's the favors to hear him, but then you heard something today it'd be horrible. But we heard something today that actually the real rumor is that KD wants to stay in New York, but he wants Kyrie out. I don't think that's true at all, but that was a rumor that came out today.
Yeah, it seems weird.
So talks are still going around. There's also the Davion Mitchell talk about he might be not Davion Mitchell. Is that his name?
Wait, who? You talking about
Donovan Mitchell? Thank you.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I was getting 2 names mixed up. The other guy plays for Sacramento Kings. Donovan Mitchell, there's talks about him going to also the Heat or the Knicks. We'll see. I'm not really scared about him. If the Knicks get him, I'm just going to keep nicking. So I'm not worried about it. And my last thing that I want to look forward to is that I don't know if y'all are fans of the game Skate, but Skate 3 was the last of its time. It was back years ago. They announced Skate 4 not too long ago. And they just came out this last week and said it's actually going to be called Skate Period because it's going to be a free-to-play live service game.
Really?
So it's going to be free-to-play on all consoles. It's going to be like Fortnite with microtransactions, but none of them will be pay to win. They'll all be for like cosmetics and things like that. Probably some battle. Cool. There might be like a battle pass, but it'll be like a trick pass. I don't know how it's going to look. Yeah, but that's really cool. It's going to be it's going to be, if you've never played Skate, be excited for this game. If you like skateboarding games, it's good. And the fact that this is free, they're already showing parkour in it and stuff like that. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
So that was talking esports.
That was talking esports.
Parkour.
Yeah.
Parkour.
Yeah, I don't really have much to shout out other than when you listen to this tomorrow, you will have already watched the All-Star game, which is going on right now. And just a little live update for you boys. Ronald Acuna scored in the first inning.
Hey, that a
He
boy,
looked
Ronnie.
good.
Yeah, he didn't drive in a run, but he got on base and Mookie Betts singled and Acuna got in. So the National League's up 2-0. And other than that, Sunday, Atlanta United. We got a late game. If you guys are up, you don't have anything to do. Maybe you're off Monday for some reason.
This is summer. You could be.
Yeah, 9:30 kickoff in LA. We're playing the Galaxy.
That's a late game.
It is a late game.
Only thing I'll leave with you guys, I'll just bring up again this Friday. Shohei Ohtani is going to be pitching and hitting as the Braves face the Angels. And
Is that in Atlanta?
Yeah, it is. So I think it's just something special to see, especially against our hometown Braves, and something that we don't get to see often on the East Coast. So tune in if you can. It's just a crazy experience.
Piggyback off of that, I saw a wild stat recently. Like in their last certain amount of games, they're 5-0 when he pitches, and they're like 4-12 when anyone else pitches or something like that. Like in their last 20 games or something like that.
It makes
It's
sense.
insane.
He's doing both.
What he's doing is it's just never been.
Oh,
done before.
sorry. Not I know we're wrapping it up, but to that Shohei stat, did y'all see the one where since 1974, while he's pitching, he has the lowest slugging percentage of batters that he faces, and then when he's batting, he has the highest slugging percentage of anyone since 1974.
He's a cheat code. And I
Yeah.
saw when this whole Murphy thing came out, the guy we drafted, and there were people were like talking about how like, oh, another two-way player. I saw someone saying in Twitter, which I know Twitter's full of people who say a bunch of dumb stuff, but we're like, yeah, I mean, honestly, all these players could probably do both ways. And someone's like, do you not realize that we have the second coming of Babe Ruth right now for the first time in the history of baseball? Like,
Yeah,
this doesn't happen all the time.
That.
Yeah, you can't.
No.
Do I think it could become more common? Maybe not. The fact that this happened again is cool, but who knows? It could be another 50, 75 years again. Like, it's rare, and I agree with Hayden. It's exciting. If you make it to the game, get out there and watch it.
All right, folks, that was Blursed.
Yeah, that's Blursed for this week. We'll like to shout out to our friend Oh No for putting our music together. You can check them out on our link tree. And then a couple more shout out to our girls, Jess and Kinsey, for all their help. Thank you guys so much for listening. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, anybody that you know likes any Atlanta sports. Check our show notes. If you want to skip around, you can do that too. Leave a 5-star review. Watch us on the YouTubes, as the kids say.
As the kids would say, if your parents
do say
struggle
that.
with technology like my dad, who I've sent him our podcast like 5 times now, and he's always said, he goes, Blake, I don't have time to read your blog. I'm like, Dad, it's not a blog. It's a podcast.
I don't have time to read your blog.
You don't have to read anything. You just push play. You don't have to be. And he actually commented on our last podcast, and he commented on you, Aaron. He said, it's funny how y'all talk about Strider's mustache when your friend's missing part of his.
Oh! Wow!
Oh, boy.
Dad, that's what he focused on. Yeah,
that
that was
hurt.
what
It
that was
is.
what he focused
Ooh.
on.
I burn it off, okay?
I
It
told
rubbed
him
off
that.
from friction. All right. That's the going story.
Wow.
Oh man.
Blurst ending there. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us again this week, and we'll be back next week.
Bye guys.
y'all.
Later.